So the big battery Lux unit is installed. I put in this cabinet below, the midnight cabinet, and this was just so that I could access breakers, because I did not like running everything directly up to the unit. So I went ahead and wired my AC loads through this breaker, my battery is wired through this breaker, and my two PV circuits through those breakers. And that way I've got easy access to turn anything off if I need to. And the cabinet's a little stiff because it didn't actually belong with this unit, but it's working out pretty good. The display on this unit is pretty decent. It's got everything that you need to know, kind of cycles through. You're probably going to get some weirdness from the cycle rate of the camera, but basically tells you all the information that you need to know. It's got your PV up top, your battery level, and then your AC output is down here, and it cycles through a couple of different settings there. Pretty handy. Right now I've got the breaker box wired in and open, just because I want to test some stuff out, and we're going to be checking some loads. I do have one outlet wired right now, and it is pulling the baseline of about 220 watts like it has been. And this has just got the freezer, some lights, and some battery chargers plugged in right now. But this is what the other leg is on, and if we check the other leg, you'll see that we do have about the same drawn when we pull here. So yeah, about 2.18 amps. That's about right. So we're going to measure off this one just because I do have this other breaker wired in right here, which we're going to be using today. And that's going to be this socket down here, which we're going to try out. It runs on both. It runs 240 volt, so we're going to test out some 240 volt today. And yeah, kind of do something a little different. I've never welded on an off-grid system. This is solar only, no grid. We have about 4 kilowatts of solar on the roof. It's the Shine 405 watt modules. We have 10 of them, 2 different PV inputs, 5 on each string. And we have this Lux 6 kW inverter, along with a midnight E panel, which has been repurposed. Our main loads panel is over here. And then we are using the big battery Rhino 2 battery. This is a 280 amp hour, 14.3 kilowatt hour. This is good for cold temperatures because it does have heating unit in it. And we're going to try out a couple of things today that I really would never do. I'm going to weld. We're going to do some welding. We're going to do some welding on just some miscellaneous scrap metal. We're going to use our small welder here. This is a Firepower FP120. This is not a fancy machine. This is a 120 volt unit. It will weld most of the things that I need to weld, so I'm pretty happy with it. I got it for free because the guy couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. It needed a couple of wires fixed, and I've been using it ever since. We're just going to use that with flux core wire today. We're not doing anything fancy. We're just going to go ahead and shoot a couple of welds and see how our solar system does. Really, I'm worried about the battery and stuff more than anything. And then we're going to switch over. We're going to kick it up a notch. We're going to run this old Lincoln Tombstone. A lot of people of you have seen these things run before. AC225. There's an AC/DC version of this as well, but you would not believe that this thing's probably 30 years old. Looks brand new. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and try out a couple of different welds with that as well. We got a couple of different rods, and we're just going to see kind of how things go. So stick around and we'll check it out. All right, this one's going now. All right, cool. All right, we're going to fire up the welder. Let's see what's going on here. It is definitely welding. We're definitely welding. Let's see what we got going on over here as our status update. I don't even remember where we were on battery power, but let's see what we got going on up here. Still at 50, still at 99% on the batteries, it's saying right now. Definitely working. Everything seems to be working just fine. Still have a smiley face. You see the smiley face? That's good news. All right. Yeah.
While you're looking?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Let's go ahead and spark it. It is taking that like a champ.
Wow.
So the consensus is definitely, we can definitely MIG weld or flux core MIG whatever with this little 120 welder without any problem all day long. Like we could probably run the duty cycle through this welder before it would shut down the inverter. So that's great news. So that's good. I mean, we could try something a little thicker with this welder if you want to try that. Maybe we could kick it up to, I don't know what's the largest size we can weld with this bad boy. The 30. Ready when you are. Yeah, decent weld. Decent weld.
Did that not record that welding?
I don't know.
We can do it again.
I'm ready. Definitely doing the weld. Definitely welding. And yeah, apparently some of the welders still not functioning properly. We're all the way up to 3, but that's it. I mean, that's good. I mean, anything that I would need to weld, I can weld with that easily.
We probably do the stick on this.
All right, so since we maxed out the wire feed welder, which, well, at 3, but still, we got a pretty decent weld out of that, no problem. So we're gonna try out the arc welder. We're gonna try out the Big Daddy. We got her plugged in over here to our 50 amp 240 volt receptacle, and we got this camera rolling on our kilowatt meter. Got this camera rolling on our other amp meter, and we'll be doing a little bit of both from here. So
We're at 75 amps.
75 amps.
And I believe this is 332nd. Might be 16th, I'm not sure. But that's what we do. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Oh, that was it. That was it. I smelled it. All right. So we got our warning. Let's see here. How long will it take to reset itself? 28 amps. Thinking that must have been So let's do this. This is why you install breakers. Turn off the critical loads panel. You may have to go ahead and shut down the inverter and turn it back on. So let's do that.
You need to shut off your solar before.
Ta-da! Smiley face again, so that's good news. Oh, let's go ahead and turn our loads panel back on. Got lights again. That's fantastic. All right, so we're back in business. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what the readings were when that happened. But it did seem, I looked over at that moment, and you were drawing that bead, and I definitely saw it hit 28 amps over here on this other meter. So about 28 amps is where it'll shut itself down, which it said it was rated at 25 amps, which that means that is doing every bit of work that it says it'll do. Let's take a look at the weld that Bob's got going on over here.
It was bad because I had it hot because I was trying to dry up. You know.
Well, that's great though. Like, so that just tells you right there. So at this setting, this is where we were at right here. 75 amps on this bad boy. And this is a big welder. I mean, let's face it, guys, 75 amps on that thing. That's more than I'll ever need to weld. I just thought it was interesting that it'll do it. If I ever need to run it, I can totally run it on the generator.
We're at 75 amps.
75 amps.
And I believe this is 332nd. Might be 16th, I'm not sure. But this is what we did.
But pretty impressive. Lux Power did it. Full on 25 amps. I think it did more than 25 amps actually. And wow, pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. So yeah, you can weld. You can weld on solar. You can weld off the grid. No generator. It's possible. It can be done.